Welcome back to another episode of The Closing Table. And today we are doing a solo episode, but we're talking about what you should really be doing in your 20s. Because I believe that culture has sucked the fun out of being 20, and a lot of people are trying to work themselves to death on trying to achieve goals that you're not going to be able to achieve unless you have some clear foundations. So if you're 20 or if you're struggling, I want this episode to resonate with you and understand that life is about joy and happiness along with hustle. So let's get into the episode. All right, so hear me out. I believe that you should absolutely work hard in your 20s, but I also believe you need to enjoy your life. When I think about when I was 20, a lot of things that come to mind is happiness, joy, and a lot of mistakes. And when I get on Instagram and I talk to some of my friends and associates who are in their 20s or who have children in their 20s, whatever the case may be, I notice one big thing. Every single person is out to be a millionaire or be their own boss, or I don't want to work for nobody. And I'm not saying that's not the attitude to have. However, I believe because of that attitude, we have been missing some key components in life and what it really means to go through life and processes. So I wanted this episode to be about foundation work you should be doing in your 20s and things that are like okay and you do not have to feel bad about. So the first one I think about and what comes to mind as I prepared for this episode is what work-life balance is. And I know like people say that doesn't exist, but I truly believe when you're in your 20s and you're figuring this thing out, you have to have a balance of hard work and enjoying your life because you're not going to be this young ever again. So work ethic, it's missing in today's culture, especially with people who are in their 20s and entering the workforce. You have to work hard. It is no way around it. You cannot achieve millions of dollars. You can't achieve any business or anything without actual work ethic. You have to show up to work. A lot of times people are going out on the weekends and doing whatever it is they're doing, but then will call out to work. You only can support the business, the dream, the drive if you actually have money to do so. When I think about how I built this business of mine and how I was able to grow it, one big thing was when I was 20 and I was really trying to figure this thing called life out, I worked extremely hard, worked 2 jobs. I always was trying to figure out my next way of making money because I understood that in order to achieve any buying of any house, in order to achieve any business of some sort, I needed capital. And unfortunately, my circumstances were a little different and I had to support myself in my journey. So working was like a non-negotiable. And if you treat your job as the source for your business, you won't be calling out of work because you would understand that without this job, without this income, I can't have a business. And also, the job teaches you a lot. A lot of foundational work that I have is from working in my 20s. A lot of my leadership skills and my qualities have come from what I've learned when I was working, showing up to work on time. That seems so irritating, so petty, and you're annoyed about why your boss is so a stickler on punctuality. But when you're leading your own team and your team comes in late and you're ready and on time, how annoying and aggravating will that be to you? So those small things, those small details really matter when you're trying to be your own boss. Another thing you learn from working, you learn how to actually sell. If you're going to start a business in your 20s of any sort, I believe it should be sales. Why? Because if you know how to sell, you will be able to make money forever. And when you work, especially like customer service jobs, waitressing, all the things, I was a body waxer for 9 years. You're talking to people, you're learning how to sell, you're learning people's body temperaments, you're learning what it feels like to get rejected. Like a lot of people want to be entrepreneurs, but as soon as somebody says no, they give up. But that muscle is built in work. You, especially if you're in a sales job, especially if you're in that hustle culture that I was in when I was 20, every single job required me to sell something. I was either selling the service at the job when I was a body waxer, selling eyelashes, I was waitressing, you're upselling wine. Like, you learn some pivotal skills that you can take into this business you're trying to develop. But the problem is you're skipping that actual thing, which I like to call school, that you're not really paying for. You're actually getting paid, but you don't want to do that. And those tools are needed to be a great boss, a great leader, a great anything. And then the second thing I would say is the fun aspect of it all. You don't have to figure out how to be a millionaire in your 20s. I believe that you need to figure out yourself. You need to go through all the hardships, all the pain, what it feels like to fail, all those things are crucial into the development of who you are as a person and who you're going to become in business. So if you are solely trying to chase money the whole time you're in your 20s, you are going to miss out on the beautiful part of life in being 20. And those things matter too. So yes, I want you to have the goal of wanting to be a millionaire and all those things and your aspirations of wanting money. But at the same time, don't forget to enjoy the process. Don't forget to travel. Don't forget to go out with your friends. Like, don't forget to be 20, because you do not want to look back when you get to 30 and look back at your 20s and all you have to show for it is hardship, your love for money that got you nowhere, or you just look back and you haven't done anything in your life worth being happy about. Life is long, but it's also very short. So if every stage of the way you're just in this hustle mentality and you're chasing, at what point do you actually remember any sort of happiness? Are you trying to buy a home within the next 6 to 12 months and you're scared because your credit is not where it needs to be? Well, listen, you don't have to be scared. You do not have to even be discouraged. You simply have to check out your score. So I want you to do me a favor and visit My Score IQ, or I have the link below so you can check out your credit score. It's only $1. And once you check out your credit score and you still find yourself confused, the good thing for you is I actually help with this, help you get mortgage ready within the next 6 to 12 months. So listen, don't get discouraged. All you have to do is start, and I'll help you throughout the process. Good luck on your journey. And I'll tell you, being burnt out is real. So if you don't know what the source of your happiness is, and I believe that's something you understand and dissect in your 20s, then when you get to like 30 and trying to build this massive business, you are not going to know what it's like to unplug. You're not going to know what it means to be happy. Like, one big happiness of mine is water. I love water. So when I'm like at that burnt out feeling for real, I got to go on vacation. But though that identifying that only happened in my 20s because I traveled a bunch. Every time I felt overwhelmed, I went on vacation. Every time I needed a sense of like grounding, I went on vacation. So those same rituals followed me in my 30s, and through business, I'm like, okay, I need something to ground me. I need to go be by water. So you learn yourself. You learn so much about yourself in your 20s. And I don't want you guys to skip this version of you because it's so pivotal when you get into your 30s and trying to achieve business or whatever it is you're trying to achieve. And you can absolutely start a business in your 20s. And I believe that will bring me to my third point. Starting a business in your 30s will allow you to take some failures that might not be the things you want to do in your 30s. Like, for instance, buying my first house. I believe buying my first house at 25 taught me so much, and it also made me grateful for so much, right? Because I wanted to buy a house, I had to stay in my job a lot longer than I probably would have, right? But staying in that job allowed me the resources to be able to buy a home. A lot of people don't realize that if your business is not generating enough money, so you can't use a bank statement loan, which basically means that you are using all the income that comes in your account every month to showcase to a loan officer that you can afford a loan. But if you don't have that, which most startups don't, then your job is going to be the income that helps you get the home. My business was not generating six figures when I started, so there was no way I was going to be able to use bank statements to get approved for the loan. So I had to use my job. And then another thing with the home buying process that I needed a job for was all the hidden fees. If I didn't have that job, I probably wouldn't even been able to afford all the stuff within that home. But outside of those things, buying a home in my 20s really taught me how to fail. And even though I made all this money from my first property, and I'm so grateful for that, as I told you guys, there's a lot to be grateful for, but I failed in the sense of not understanding what I was getting myself into. I was so eager to buy the house. I was so focused on the money that I was not prepared for what was going to happen when I became a homeowner. It humbled me. There was so many things about myself that I had to be better at in order to be able to steward over somebody else's living condition. Um, when you think about wanting to make money with real estate, it's easy to just want to make money and not realizing that you are responsible for somebody's living quarters. So now, like, being able to sell the property and, that become a win. There's so many things I would do differently now that I'm 30, mature, understand, have educated myself, and went through the failure. Buying a home and being scared like this is going to be like the worst thing ever is the hardest thing to go through, but it's also so humbling. So doing that at 25, I believe, gave me a head start, because now that I'm 30, I've made a really hard mistake. So my next property, I'm not saying I won't get it wrong, but it won't be anything of how it was then. So don't be afraid to start. Don't be afraid to fail. Don't be afraid to start over. It's really about being consistent. And the consistency starts in your 20s from going to work. Because if you can't show up to work every day, and you cannot show up to whatever it is that you do on the side consistently, day in and day out, what makes you think you can build this massive $1 million company? Because leadership is a direct reflection on you. And if you're not a great leader, then how are you going to lead a team to whatever it is that you're trying to achieve? So I just want you to know that it's okay to have fun in your 20s. It's okay to experience life. It's okay to make mistakes. It's okay to not be perfect. But also understand that if you have the goals of being a millionaire and you want to be the first person in your family, all those things, then you also have to take the hard work with it too. So don't skip out on work. Go to work, hustle multiple jobs, figure yourself out. And in the process of doing that, also enjoy your life, because you are only going to be this age once. And I'm telling you, the older you get, the tired you get, the more irritable you get, and the harder things just seem to become. So I hope this episode made you feel seen, heard, and even if you're like, I totally feel like I'm in my 20s, I feel stuck, I don't know what to do, just keep going and keep failing, keep moving forward, keep being stronger, because by the time you hit 30, you're going to be so grateful you went through all the processes that you're going through now. So in conclusion, I'm grateful for you guys. Make sure you subscribe, like, tell a friend to tell a friend, and I'll see you guys on another episode of The Closing Table.